Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I am the owner operator of Berner Babies. What we're going to talk about today is breeders and rehoming or not to rehome. So, this year we have retired and spayed 7 dogs. So, with spaying and retiring dogs, the question of rehoming always comes up. And so, today I'm just going to talk about breeders and when they decide to either rehome or not to rehome because it does come up quite often. And really, as a breeder, you're kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't. So in our case, almost 50%, we're just a couple working dogs shy of 50% of all of our dogs being retired dogs, which for a breeder can be pretty expensive. But I want to kind of talk about why we are like that. Number one, we're kind of bonded to our dogs. We truly genuinely love our dogs. And so to rehome them gets a little difficult on my end. And so to let them go after, years of loving them gets pretty difficult on my end. And so when people pull up and they're like, "Man, you got a lot of dogs." And I'm like, "Yeah, I love a lot of dogs." And so I have a hard time letting them go because I love them. But there are some breeders that once they're retired, they rehome them, and we have rehomed some of our own dogs, and we have successfully done that 5 times. And since 2006, 5 times isn't actually a lot of times. I feel like we should probably rehome more than that, just to try to put our dogs in the center of someone's world. And so we have attempted to do that on multiple occasions, and our dogs end up not happy. And so I'm going to give you just a handful of stories where that hasn't happened, and so why we choose to keep our dogs. So I'm going to kind of start off in the beginning. So I'm going to talk to you about a dog named Anna. And so when Anna was younger, we adopted her from actually a really good friend of mine, and we adopted her and her sister. And Anna she is a unique duck. We truly love her personality. But to give you a good example, she took 5 years to warm up to Susan. Well, I guess 4 years. So Susan's been with me for 5 years, and for 4 of those years, Anna was like, "I just really don't have the time of day for you." So from my perspective, I did not think that she was maybe happy here. And so I actually tried to rehome her to my grandma. I felt like with my grandmother, I could keep a close eye on her. My grandma had just suffered a loss with her own Berner, and so I felt like that would kind of fulfill twofold. It would give Anna the chance to maybe live a happier life, and it would kind of fulfill a gaping hole in my grandma's heart. So I go and I drop Anna off, and I, of course, check in on her, and my grandma's like, she hates her life. She spends all of her time in the bathroom, and, we try to give her treats and we try to give her love, and she won't talk to us. And so I go and I visit, and she won't talk to me. So we let this go on for a couple of weeks, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to come get her." Obviously, she hates her life. So I go and I get the leash, and the first time I see her smile in this whole process is as we're literally pulling out of town. And after that, she was a changed dog. She was like, "You're right. I love my life, and I don't want to go anywhere else." And so Anna is retired. She's been retired for years. She's an old girl now. She is 9 years old, and she is one that loves her life here. And she takes a long time to warm up to people, and that's okay. She's pretty picky about who she lets into her world, and that's just Anna. So that's just one example. Another example was we have a mini Bernedoodle, and I decided very young, she was 7 months old, 9 months old, something like that. I decided I was not going to probably breed her, and so I thought, well, she's really young, um, so I thought she'll do great as a rehome, and so I I thought it would be selfish of me to keep her, and so I found a home, and she is another one that just did not like her life. They kept her for 3 weeks and they called me, and they're like, she just won't let us touch her. She runs away. And even when I picked her up and put her in the car, I feel like she felt like I was taking her somewhere else. And she did not wag her tail or smile until I literally put her down in the house. And then she was fine. And even to this day, and this happened 4 years ago, even now, if I take her anywhere, that includes the vet, the groomer, she is terrified that I am going to drop her off somewhere. And so she's another one. She can't go anywhere for life. She's spayed, she's retired. She just cannot ever go anywhere. And then another dog, I mean, I could probably go on, but then there's another dog. He had to be neutered to Rio. We found out he had prostate problems young, 3 years old, and we took him to the vet to get collected for AI, and there was blood, and they were like, he needs to be neutered. I got him in to be neutered right away, and he was young, 3 years old, and I thought, this is selfish of me to try to keep him. He could live to be 10, 11 years old, and this is selfish. And so he is like the world's happiest boy. He loves everyone, and I found an amazing home. And we always, anytime we try to do a rehome, we do a trial period. And they were like, he hates his life. He hates it here. And we got him back, and I am not kidding, for 3 weeks, he was mad at all of us. Like, he wouldn't talk to me, and he wouldn't talk to Susan. And after 3 weeks of this, I finally made him come in, and I literally had a conversation with him that says, look, Mom did not send you away because I don't love you. This was because I thought you would be happy, being just one of 2 dogs, and I thought you would love being the center of attention more. And I know people say that dogs don't understand, but after that, he was better, and he would come in, and he was happy again. And I know that people think I'm nuts, but I literally had to have a conversation with Terrio that says, I did not send you away because I don't love you. And so you would think that the happiest dogs, the most outgoing dogs that are pushy for attention, would do best in a rehome situation. But the fact is that the dogs love their life. And so I have a hard time with the rehomings, because I feel like the dogs that I think are going to do really well end up not doing so well. And so we have had some really great success stories, like when I decided to quit raising Newfoundlands, a lot of them were really young. And again, I took this stance of, I'm being selfish by keeping them. And so we rehomed Attican, for example, and he has a great life now. He has another dog sibling, he has some cat siblings, and I get to see him through pictures all the time on Facebook. And he has a great life, and he loves his life, and his owners just absolutely spoil him. And I rehomed another male hatcher, and he has an amazing life with his new owner. And so a lot of these have been really successful, but a lot of them that we've tried have not. They want to come back home, they miss their life, and they are happy here. I had someone, so when we decided to quit raising Newfoundlands, because of how the mini Bernedoodle reacted, I just, I made people fill out applications, and I picked several people that I thought would do great, and I let them come here, and I let the dogs tell me. And someone who came here said, I thought this was going to be a rescue situation, And it turns out the dogs actually love you. And I found that surprising. It's like, well, of course my dogs love me. Um, this is not, we're not mean to them. We genuinely love and care about our dogs. And so all of my girls, not one of my Newfoundland females left. And I do believe that's because the bond that we share during the birthing process and things like that, they caught on to what was happening, and they were like, if you think you're getting rid of me and that easy, that's not happening. I'm staying with you. And so none of my females left. They were like, I'm not on board with this, and I'm staying with you. And so that's what we decided. It's like, nope, the girls aren't on board, and so they're just going to stay here. And that was totally okay. And so when people are like, you have a lot of dogs, I'm like, yep, I have a lot of dogs. And we love them very, very much. And in return, they love us very, very much. And so when we spay our dogs, when we retire our dogs, when we neuter them, whatever, some of them we do consider rehoming. It really depends on the dog, but almost instantaneously we'll get messages about, would you consider rehoming? And 99.9% of the time, it's a no. And it's not, it maybe it is selfish reasons. I guess I don't really know, but it is because we genuinely, and when I say we, it's not just my family, it's my employees too. Susan has been with me for 5 years. Anna is her daughter. Excuse me. Anna is her daughter. She started volunteering here almost right away after Susan started, and she's been my employee for 3 years. Sophie's been here for 2.5 years. My employees have been here a long time, and they genuinely love these dogs too. When something happens, we all rally behind these dogs. They genuinely love these dogs too. It's not just my family that love these dogs. They have a lot of people who love them, and so it is maybe briefly considered, but most of the time it's not. And it is because they are genuinely loved, and in return they genuinely love us too. And so I just kind of wanted to take this opportunity to kind of talk about it. We do have a lot of dogs, and like I said, we're almost to the point that truly half of them, are retired. But I have been doing this for a very long time, and there will probably come a point where we have more retired dogs than quote-unquote working dogs. But I suppose that's what happens when you've been breeding for as long as I have. And so, like I kind of joke about, we feed a lot of dogs for fun. We have a lot of pets. We have a lot of working dogs, and that's just how it is at Berner Babies. There are a lot of breeders who are not like us. They do treat their dogs like a, I guess, livestock, for lack of a better word, where they are just pumping out puppies, and then once they're done, they hit the road. And I guess that's up to each individual breeder to decide for themselves. And it's also honestly what everybody can afford. I mean, do I enjoy my dog food bill? Nope. Do I enjoy my vet bill? Nope. Would it be easier if things were cheaper? Sure. But there are dogs here that I absolutely could not genuinely live without. And so that is a decision that we make here at Berner Babies. And so I completely understand that my dogs are beautiful, and I completely understand that when I say so-and-so has been spayed, that there are a lot of people that instantly are like, hey, are you gonna rehome them? Are they up for adoption? Are they this or are they that? And the disappointment that you may feel when I say no. And it is because they are genuinely loved here. And it is because so many of them have not done well in a rehoming situation. They hate their life. They want to come home. And, besides their people, they also have their friends. In a situation like ours, they actually have their own bonds here. I talked about Anna. Well, Anna's best friends are Terrio and Denver. And when Terrio got home, he was ecstatic to see Anna. Anna and Terrio are like seriously best friends. And so they genuinely miss that bond. And so that's important too. You know, it's just like when you're at home and you have your own little pack of dogs, you know, they would miss those friends. And so my dogs have friends here too, not just their people. And so I think I wanted to take a moment to talk about that because I do often get the question when we spay or neuter or we retire a dog if they are up for adoption, because besides us loving them, they also have a lot of fans out in the real world outside of Berner Babies, which I love and I appreciate a ton, a ton. I really do appreciate that more than you guys know. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to say, my dogs usually aren't for sale. They're not for rehoming. Um, and I am sorry about that. Or maybe I'm not. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm sorry about that or not. My checkbook sometimes is sorry, but I don't know that I'm sorry. So I just wanted to take a very quick opportunity to kind of talk about rehoming here at Berner Babies. I can't speak for all breeders. I know we are kind of outside the norm. And like I said, breeders are kind of darned if we do and darned if we don't. You know, if we keep them, we're dog hoarders. We have too many dogs. And if breeders rehome, then they just are useful only for puppies. And then we're called a bunch of names for that. So, you know, part of this video should also be about that. Because feeding dogs is expensive. So maybe if you hear somebody bashing breeders one way or the other, you know, maybe stick up for them a little bit. We all have different opinions about breeders. That's for darn sure. That we have breeders in general just have a lot of haters, and it. I mean, we really are darned if we do and darned if we don't. So I guess maybe just stick up for us a little bit, whether we rehome or don't rehome. You know, everybody has their differences on what's the right thing to do. And sometimes it just comes down to finances, because our dog food bill is very expensive, and so are our vet bills because we don't rehome. And so sometimes it really just comes down to being able to afford to feed them and being able to afford to vet them. And thankfully, we don't just raise dogs here. We also have other businesses going on. And so we have a luxury of being able to afford to feed them and vet them that some breeders don't have the luxury to do. So we are very blessed in that fact. So, you know, maybe stick up for a breeder next time you hear something like they're rehoming. You know, it could have something to do with the fact that they need to keep their facility small or their business small or whatever. Sometimes I'm telling you, the Newfoundlands that I rehomed were very, very hard on me emotionally. But to see them thriving and being so loved makes my heart so happy. To be the center of another family's world. Yes, of course, I wish that I had them, but it makes me so happy that I made that decision for them. It was a very unselfish thing for me to do because I know for a fact, like Attican, for example, he is so loved, and that makes me happy to know that I shared him with them. So, but yeah, anyways, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that because, like I said, anytime we spay or neuter or retire a dog, it always comes up. And so I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about it. So if you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go ahead and feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And thanks again for, you know, adopting, following, and, you know, just whatever with Berner Babies. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll talk again soon. Bye, everyone.